As soon as you pour your what? What are you pouring?
What, you ever heard of Big Red?
Big Red. You're pouring Big Red? What are you, 5? Oh my god, I didn't even know they still made that shit.
My favorite soft drink.
Really?
It's like drinking bubble gum.
There are so many better things to drink than that shit.
What would you drink in the soft drink arena?
Cherry Dr. Pepper?
I like Dr. Pepper well enough, but sometimes prune juice just doesn't do it for you.
Also like vanilla Coke?
I like regular Coke. Like again, I go through cycles. Sometimes it's Dr. Pepper, sometimes it's Big Red, sometimes it's Coke.
I don't have
It's never
soda.
Pepsi. It
I
is
don't have
never
soda
Pepsi.
very often. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Pepsi.
Or
That
Mr.
thing.
Pibb, their version of Dr. Pepper.
Mr. Pibb's okay. Don't be hating on Mr. Pibb. It works.
It's not as good as Dr. Pepper.
No, if I had a choice, it'd be Dr. Pepper. But sometimes, actually, every once in a while, I just got to have a Mr. Pibb. There's something about it. I don't know why. There's something back in my childhood to do with that. I have no idea what it is. I blocked it out. But every once in a while, I want a Mr. Pibb.
When I was young,
You were young?
Jay.
When the fuck were you young?
Back before radio. My mom and dad would send me to the store to get soda, and it came in glass bottles and little carriers that you brought home.
Oh, yeah.
It somehow tasted better back then than it does now.
Yeah, I don't think, maybe it's just because our taste buds are fried, but I don't really think the soft drinks have gotten better tasting over time. They keep changing the formulas or fucking with it, and maybe it's just our nostalgia. Maybe it's just the fact that we want to think it was better when we were kids, or maybe it's just a drift. I have no idea. Maybe our taste changed, and we
the
don't
days
understand.
of buying M&Ms and dropping them into your soda to watch the outer covering just fizz away.
While we were sucking dye or down our blue dye, our cancerous blue dye number 3 or whatever the fuck it was.
Now, what was it? There's another thing that apparently Coke and peanuts is a thing, and I do seem to vaguely remember trying that.
Coke and peanuts?
Yeah, you put peanuts inside your Coke bottle and then go to town. Apparently that's a thing. And I seem to remember trying it, and it wasn't bad. I don't recommend you try it with Mentos. That's not going to work out for you.
No, that does not work well. Keep that away. Well, it works perfectly if that's the effect you're trying to get. But I would not do that around electrical equipment. I think it's probably a bad idea. I could be wrong. I think that'd be a terrible idea. That's just me, though.
Yeah. I did watch somebody try to cap an exploding 2-liter that the lid just blew off of it without any warning with his mouth, and you can imagine how poorly that worked. It was very exciting.
Yeah, I can think of better ways to destroy my lungs than that bullshit.
It didn't work out for him. Not at all.
I asked you 75 times if you wanted to go potty 15 minutes ago, and you said no. You said no, and now you're here.
Matt says Coke in the UK have started offering glass bottles, and it does taste different.
Yeah. It does. Okay, maybe we don't need to go potty. Maybe we've
apparently traumatized Drew just by being us.
Dear God, what are we talking about? Well, the show just started. We're warming up. Ooh, that's wrong. That's wrong, Drew. Ooh, hiss.
I saw somebody had made a video, a trolling video, where they had a model that they were strapping down with tons of Mentos, and we're going to pour like a bunch of Coke over it, but it never actually happened. It was like 10 minutes of them trying to do it and luring people to see how far they could make them watch the video without actually doing it.
Oh, God. That's pathetic. Did they have a commercial spaced every 15 seconds?
I don't know that they did. I think it was literally just a troll video. I think that's cruel because I wanted to see what was going to happen. I figured it was going to be real bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Luna dog is in here now. She's sitting over there. She'll probably come back here and demand to go POTTY soon. I think I told her she didn't need to go right now, so she's lying me very, very, warily, wondering when I'm gonna get up. So we'll see how this works. We'll see how long it is before I have to take an old lady potty. We figured out last night she is 12 years old at the least, and her breed is 10 to 15 years. So yeah, and she's getting kind of thin, which is not good. So yeah, lots of madness and craziness going on at the Cooley house as usual. Nothing new there.
On our cat front, Ziggy had 3 teeth pulled, and he's in isolation as he recovers.
Oh, poor baby. Yikes.
They were messed up. They had to come out. Yep. Unlike Romeo. Romeo had all of his teeth pulled.
Somehow I missed that. Already forgotten about it.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago, and all he has is his fangs. He doesn't have any other teeth. They pulled them all.
Wow. That's crazy.
He's much happier now. He's not in as much pain, so we can deal with it.
Yeah, I'd hope not. I'd hope the pain would be.
I didn't want to deal with the cost of a dental visit for a cat, but yeah, there you are.
So tell me, do you have like a racetrack going on outside your house, or are they currently like vacuuming the sidewalk or something?
No, the litter robot is going to town. Why is it? Can you hear it?
Okay. All right. We're good. That'll cease in a minute.
Can you hear it?
Did I say something about it?
Well, I thought I had the microphone settings onto the one that should have cut it out. Yeah, I'm set up to NVIDIA broadcast. It should have cut that out.
Well, it didn't. Well, whatever.
Well, see how that works.
I just want to make sure that your house wasn't like going to suddenly fall over with people coming in with jackhammers and Lord only knows what else.
Well, it's good to know that it's not working because, I was counting on NVIDIA broadcast from keeping, noise from getting into my dictation. Now I know it's not doing its friggin' job.
Well, now I can't hear anything, but I don't know if that's
because it stopped.
Maybe you just didn't have it on. Oh God, JR has arrived.
We banned him.
Well, you have administrator rights here. You can do whatever you like.
It took us too long last time. It took us too long last time to figure out how to, unban him.
Yeah, that was a mess. That was a nightmare. I blame you for all of that. I definitely blame you for all of that. What's been going on with you on the writing front, man?
I'm still in editing. I'm 3/4 of the way done with the novel. I just need to get the last bit done over the next week.
I think it's funny. You're in editing mode and I'm in like crunch production mode.
It's okay. I'll be back in crunch production mode as soon as I'm done editing.
I started a new book, I think on last Saturday, and we're at almost 19,000 words. I don't have a title yet. But it is a Suits book, but it's much more action oriented. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know what's going to happen with it yet. I made the mistake of following Terry Mixon's advice. So I dropped myself down a hole and now I have no fucking idea where I'm going.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, so we'll see what's going on, if this is just the first leg or if the first 20,000 words are just the entry into the madness, or if that's, I don't know how long this book is going to be. I don't know where the end is.
So how did this become my advice? Because I don't know that I ever advise anyone to try to write the way I do, because I may have mentioned how I write. I'm not sure that I would actually recommend it for anybody.
Well, you always get persnickety when you hear my process. So I decided to follow your insanity, and here I am.
Are you having fun?
No. Yes.
That's what you say.
However, there is so much shit that I need to clean up in the first 10,000 words when I go back and edit that I have to. There's going to be a lot of work to do there. I may finish this book this month, at least the first draft. It's possible. Well, not this month because it's already 17th, but I can finish it by the middle of October, I think. First draft probably before then. Edited draft probably by then. We'll see. That's what's going on. So that and Extinction. But since I can't do anything with Extinction until the other books are out, all I can do is for Patreon. I'm going to take my time there a little bit more. But I do think I'm going to go back and serialize this one for the patrons. Yeah, not even Terry takes Terry's advice. That is good advice right there, not to take advice from Terry.
I'm like the counterexample. I'm the negative, consequential example. What did you call that one? There's a phrase for that.
I don't know.
I'm the example that should warn everybody from trying what I'm doing.
Your life serves as a warning to others.
I'm a living warning sticker. Please do not try this at home.
Danger, human, danger. I have a friend, we call him the Menace, and he's a dear friend of mine. I love him so much, but wherever he goes, it's like this chaos field just follows him. He's just one of those people where he could twirl around and a whirlwind of crazy just follows him wherever he goes. And
yeah,
it's just so much fun. Yeah, Terry is the cautionary tale. You got that right. I don't know what else to do with him.
I'm like Breaking Bad for advice. Oh, things aren't working out. I think I'll make meth.
You heard it here first, folks. Terry's serious hobby on the side.
Well, yeah, I'm using that as an example of my bad judgment, but there you are. Not that I actually make meth.
This may be the greatest comment that's ever been left on one of our shows. This one right here. Yeah, I think that.
The first rule of Terry, don't do Terry.
Yeah, don't do what I do. Don't even listen to what I do.
There's a lot of people that write the same way I do. It may not be right for you, though, Paul.
Oh, well, no. We'll see.
You're just riddled with insecurity. I have to outline everything that's going to happen now.
No, I know. Well, I don't do that. I know you don't.
I know you don't.
But it would help if I knew. Well, okay. So 20,000 words, and I guess next scene or the scene I'm writing right now is when the first big shoe is going to drop. So I have to go back. When I go back and edit this, I have to decide. I have to make a few decisions, Terry. I have to decide how much of a mystery subplot I'm going to put in here, how much of a blackmail plot of this I'm going to put in here, and how much subterfuge and fuckery is going on to set all this stuff up. So I have to go back and decide which of those threads I'm going to drop or go with, because since I started this story more or less in the middle. Well, not quite the middle, but definitely past the beginning.
You at least need to know the themes of what you're going to write before you start.
Why?
Because otherwise, what genre is this? I mean, are you writing a mystery? Are you writing a thriller?
It's science fiction. Who the fuck cares? It's a Suits book, man. It's gonna have suspense. It's gonna have high-tech stuff and crazy garbage and probably AI nonsense and who knows, maybe aliens. Could have all sorts of good stuff. We'll find out when we get there. But I have a feeling it's all going to end in tears with lots of blood and slime and horrible things happening.
Get in, loser. We're saving the universe.
No, more like get out, loser. You've been chewed up. The blender is done with you. Okay, Matt.
Sounds like a Yogi Berra thing.
It does. 150%. Give 150%. Okay. How I'm going to do that, but if you say so. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. I had a vision of what the end might look like today. We'll see.
I got to say that this editing has proven problematic because halfway through the book, I decided that one of the subplots I was going to use that I definitely was not going to use. So I had to trim it out as I went through the editing process.
Did you save any of that subplot? Did you like move it aside or make notes on what it was or anything like that to use?
Oh, I know what it is. It's a romantic subplot.
Ah.
So all right. The scene would not have made sense to save. The one that I cut whole hog would not have made sense to save because the circumstances in which it's going to happen later are going to be different.
Okay.
But I have to make sure that all mentions of it are scrubbed.
Yeah, therein lies the rub.
A lot of editing for me is I'll do things like change the number of ships I'm using in a scene. I'll change some aspect of what I'm doing. And then I have to make sure that all the other mentions that I may have made that would have referenced that specific fact are changed. And if you're like me, then you forget how your basic technology works inside your universe and you write a scene that violates it and you go, yeah, that's got to come out. I've got to change this a little bit to make sure that it actually works how the way that it's supposed to.
I started this book and got down to where they were going to do things very quickly. And I was having problems visualizing something. And I hadn't made the decision on what I was doing yet. So I was kind of wandering around. Well, I had them drilling holes in the ground. And I was like, okay, that doesn't seem right. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, oh, wait, no, this isn't that. This is something else. We're not going through, we're going through walls, baby. We're digging into the mountain. We're not digging down below it. Oh, well, shit. I have to change how the mining floor looks like. Make some notes. Drop this, drop that. Okay. Big note. Rewrite this chapter fucking completely. Rewrite the one before it.
Insert big explosions here.
Yeah, I actually left some notes for myself like that where I'm not gonna. Here's a chapter called Dinner. There's nothing in it because I don't know it has to go there yet. But it's just funny because I haven't thrown myself into this kind of crazy in quite a long time. Even Station 3 had much more sense to it than this does. This is just nuts. So and I don't even have a title. How often do I not have a title, Terry?
You are untethered from reality, my friend.
I've completely lost it. I've obviously lost sight and I got nothing. I don't know what to call this thing. I probably won't know until I get there. Oh, hi, Tim. I put it in Patreon and the Discord. What else do you want for me to do?
It's even on Facebook. I think I put it in the DRS group, but I posted it on Facebook.
Well, that's your problem. That's your fault. How many people am I going to kill this time? As many as it takes.
Everyone must die.
But, how do you define die?
Was that the line from Leon the Professional? Kill everyone.
I can't remember if that's the one or not. I can't remember. Yeah, that's a great movie. That's one of Gary Oldman's over-the-top performances. I mean, just over the top.
Serious over the top.
But for that movie, it works perfectly because the whole goddamn thing is basically action. It's basically a superhero movie. It's essentially a superhero movie. So, it's what it is. Send carrier pigeon next time. Gary Oldman tells it or sells it, yells it. Okay, you're right. It was that. I haven't seen that movie in forever. God. Kill everyone. Everyone. Why do I have to know what genre this book's in anyway?
Well, it helps when you market said book, and it also helps when you know what themes you want to actually write about if you want to keep the story kind of, funneled into the audience expectations.
Yes, but I haven't finished the book yet, so how would I know what those are?
Well, that's a problem when you don't know what genre you're writing.
I don't even know where the plot goes from here, man.
The series that I'm writing now is space opera and military science fiction all mixed together. So I know what the audience expectations are. I know that I have to have space battles. I have to have fighting. I've got to have the various operatic themes that go with the grand adventure in space. So I know that I have to include things that the audience wants to see. And if you're writing in a genre, or you're writing a book that doesn't have a genre, how do you know what to include? The answer is you don't. You're making it up as you go along in a little bit wider scheme than I would do myself.
I know what's in the mountain. I don't know how much of it's in the mountain, and I don't know what the full ramifications are yet because I don't know what it's doing, but I know what it is. And I don't know exactly what our protagonists are going to do with it yet, but we'll get there. But I know it's going to be exploration with people not knowing the dangers they're facing. And I know that there's going to at least be some kind of creature or creatures either running through the place or used to. And I know there's going to be other things that affect the environment and possibly the minds and well-being of our protagonists. How about that?
Okay. Tim says audience expectations are external to the book and the author, right? I disagree. I don't think that they are. At least the author has to be aware of them. Otherwise, you don't have a successful book. Well, maybe saying it's unsuccessful is a little too harsh. Maybe you're not finding all of the readership you could if you actually were aware of what the audience generally expected from a novel of that kind.
I know that if you, from personal experience, you put military sci-fi, and if your military unit does not act the way certain people expect a military unit to act, or they break what is considered taboo today, that a bunch of cunt monkeys will be more than happy to come in and yell and rant about, how the fact you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, even though it's science fiction, it's my universe, and you can fuck off. So there are certain expectations you're going to get with military sci-fi. And of course, at the same time, I've had other people tell me, well, I saw it was military sci-fi, so I didn't want to read it. And then I figured out what it was. I decided to read it and really enjoyed it. And that's the only kind of military sci-fi I would read. I don't know. People are all over the map, man. But I won't make the mistake of tagging something with military sci-fi unless it's going to have more of a narrow focus, more the kind of space battles and stuff that you're talking about. It's going to have many more of those kinds of attributes if I'm going to describe it that way. But again, that's a marketing thing. That has nothing to do with the actual book.
If you are trying to appeal to a certain audience, you've got to at least understand what the expectations are. You decided with that book to appeal to, the space marine genre, if you will. And maybe you could have read a little bit more about what those folks actually want to read, because just like guns in books, when you do something that violate the audience expects to see there, then they are going to, flip out.
I don't even give model numbers anymore on guns. I don't give manufacturers. An AR is an AR, a pistol's a pistol, an automatic's an automatic, a revolver's a revolver. Who fucking cares? If you don't describe it, you can't possibly have a problem with it.
That's pretty much true. You usually, when you get into the specifics, is when you get it. I'm not going to mention any names, but I've read a number of books where people have had their Glocks, with the safety having to be turned off, which that's not the case. That's not how that works. And another one that I never expected to see is some law enforcement officer's issue sidearm was, I think it was a 44 Magnum or something ridiculous like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's a little bit hot for
that's a personal weapon. I don't think that's going to be an issue, but okay.
It actually stated in the book that it was the department issue weapon. And I was like, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
No. You don't want to shoot the 5 people behind the suspect. You want to shoot the suspect. You're trying to shoot the violent criminal, not the 7 innocent people lined up behind him.
That was a book where I literally stopped reading right there. I was like, oh, I don't know about this. I'm not sure how serious this author is going to be if that's going to be their stance. And I stopped reading the book. I don't know if I would go back and pick it back up. I like the author, so it was definitely a unexpected step on the rake in the yard and have it smack you in the face moment.
Were they trying to be ironic though, or
no? It was okay. It was not having the right education to use firearms in the story.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Issue 44 Magnum. Oh my God.
I believe. Gosh, I can't remember the circumstances of it, and I really shouldn't get into the details of it. It was an unexpected moment when you're talking firearms to see something like that mentioned, and you could run into that type of landmine in any genre if you don't understand the readership. If you're going to write military science fiction, it behooves you to read military science fiction and to like it. You know, if you're going to write it, you should like it anyway. If you're going to write horror, you should read horror. You should know what the audience will expect and what they'll tolerate and what the norms are inside that genre. Otherwise, you're going to do something that they won't like. If I tried to write horror, since I don't read horror and I don't particularly like horror, then it turns into paranormal romance. We have already determined this to be true.
That's a failing on your part.
It is, but it's one that I am wide-eyed enough to realize that I have. One needs to be aware where one has a weakness, and that's a weakness that I have. And apparently Space Marines is yours.
I'm just not interested in Space Marines doing the kinds of things that y'all think Space Marines should be doing. I like them doing things that they're unqualified to do.
And a good example of Space Marines in science fiction would be the Aliens movie. Just think about it.
Yeah.
That follows the same genre of what you would expect the military to do. Those people behaved like Marines would behave, and they fit inside there, and they were in science fiction. So you can target it, but you just got to understand I'm inserting a military unit, and I have to understand what that means.
I knew what it meant. I just didn't want it to work that way in my universe.
Then you probably shouldn't have marketed it as Space Marine.
Technically, I didn't.
Somehow they found you, though. They found you, man.
You got to remember, the Derelict Saga was not published by me.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Then the publisher should have known better.
Anyway, notwithstanding.
Let's scroll up here and see what commentary is going on here. La 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 la.
Just got our asses. I don't know if you've been paying attention. We just got our asses kicked, man. Oh shit, no.
No, Star Trek is definitely not military SF.
That's First Contact.
It doesn't even really qualify as military, honestly, if you want to be realistic about it. Sure, Starfleet was a pseudo-military organization, but it only just barely grazed that by using ranks, honestly.
The ranks were more like, as I like to think of it as merchant ships, where the ranks made more sense, except when you had the actual military stuff that goes along with security, which obviously was a big part of that because they were all essentially warships. At least the Enterprise was, when it needed to be. So yeah, I guess. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Deep Space Nine was a completely different bird than the rest of the Star Trek stuff.
And that's another problem, right? You write something cool in that universe. Well, it doesn't match this. It's totally different. Or is the fan base. We were talking about this in the pre-show. Is the fan base going to be able to, deal with that? And I'm done. Category 10 hurricanes? What in the absolute fuck is a Category 10 hurricane?
I think that's his point.
Okay.
And maybe a little bit of his point was having, a natural disaster movie that was controlled by a human being. Isn't natural disaster supposed to be natural?
A natural disaster? Yeah.
Unless you're actually filming, what was it, 2012?
Or God damn it, the British movie.
That wasn't man caused.
With Sean Connery. It was the evil weather dude. I can't remember the name of it. Somebody's gonna tell me. No, not Sharknado. The Defiant may have only been the only quote unquote warship, but the Enterprise took down plenty of badasses. So I think you could call it that as well. The Avengers, thank you. Possibly even vegan. It is certainly sanitized, but that's more that's more of a comment about that society and what they prize, right? So it's just a different it's just a completely different kind of oh, stop that. Stop that. None of that bullshit. I
keep telling you I'm going to bring the Zardoz costume for, being comfortable after the show.
No. I will turn off your camera, and then I will call the NSA or whoever the fuck it takes to swat your fiber line.
It's gonna be while we're in Vegas, so you're just gonna have to deal with it in person.
Oh God. Oh. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. A lot of disaster writers have fall back on weather control or ramping the disasters up to physically impossible strength. At least when I make bad weather happen, I stick to the scales. I'm trying to figure out what a Category 10 hurricane would even look like.
You see that big red spot on Jupiter? One that's the size of the Earth?
Good point. When there's one as large as the United States, if there's one as large as all of North America, then we have a Category 10. Is that what you're telling me?
Forget how many Earths you could fit into the Great Red Spot, but it's more than one.
It's a couple. Yeah, I'm thinking that may be bad. I am not ever writing Jelly, Gator, NATO, Sharka, Thingy, Black NATO, blah, 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 blah. Probably.
You could write Muppet NATO and have,
No. I'm not writing Muppet NATO. Although that would be fucking hilarious if it was just animal. Just like a tornado of animals. Just like, a whole bunch of them doing the Tasmanian devil thing while playing drum sets. That would be fucking hilarious.
Why for you buried me in the cold ground.
Yeah, I love that. Cat NATO. Oh, no. Drew, do you use weather machines? Are weather machines a good weapon?
They can be used as such, but I think they're more a better plot device for stories when they malfunction. Not when they're weaponized, when they get outside the control, because weather is an inherently uncontrollable force.
Chaotic system.
And so it's much more fun to deal with people whose hubris believes that they can control the weather and then it fail and they have to deal with the consequences.
I was more thinking alien invasion kind of thing.
You mean like LA?
No.
I didn't see that movie. My wife saw it.
I didn't either. I don't know.
Apparently it was a big old alien invasion movie in LA, which, as far as I'm concerned, they can have it.
I was thinking more along the lines of doing stuff like drying up the ocean or maybe trying to completely drown us.
So about that, we've got the zombie glacier, whatever, that's going to come tumbling down.
The Doomsday Glacier.
Doomsday Glacier, that's it. That's supposedly going to raise sea level by 2 feet if that happens. I actually found a website that would show what that would mean for our area, and I still don't have any beachfront property.
No, but you're going to have a lot of toxic water near you. Very toxic water.
I live near the bayou. That's pretty much already the case.
I know it's only going to get worse, though. Trust me on that. Oof. Oh, I don't even want to think about it.
You know, a good alien invasion movie, you probably won't agree with this, but I thought it was a good one. It was the one with Tom Cruise in it.
I haven't seen a Tom Cruise in so fucking many.
There were actually 2 of them that he had, but this one was the one where he was the clone, that he didn't realize that he was a clone. And the aliens were just basically sucking the water out of the earth. It was actually a really good show.
No idea. Not a clue.
Can't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen it. But there was the other one where he just kept repeating time over and over again during the alien invasion. And that was actually surprisingly good as well.
What is this? I live in Wales. You raise the water by 2 feet. We lose a couple of inches. Let's see. Whatever happens when the conditions are identical to 1974 2001 super outbreak is certainly not my fault, no matter how much the terrified screaming characters blame me. Yeah. Lies. More
Edge
lies.
of Tomorrow was one of them. It was Edge of Tomorrow was the one where they were sucking the no, that was the repeating one. That was where he repeated time again and again and again and again. And the other one was Oblivion. Oblivion was surprisingly good. I actually thought it was an amazing alien invasion story.
Nah. Garbage. Probably on the same level as Travolta. It's probably another Battlefield Earth.
Yeah, Live, Die, Repeat. That's right. That was their thing for Edge of Tomorrow. And I really wish they'd have made a sequel to that. But both of those were, if you haven't seen those, Paul, you should, because I think those are 2 excellent alien invasion movies that don't follow the usual pattern.
Not following the usual pattern is kind of tough. But what is the usual pattern? When you say usual, do you mean the cliche pattern?
In Oblivion, the main character doesn't realize that he is an alien-created clone of an astronaut who's overseeing the destruction of the Earth. He thinks he's actually trying to save the Earth from some type of long-term catastrophe, and he and his wife are the only survivors. And it's the story of finding out that all the technology that he's using is actually under the control of the aliens rather than himself.
Gotcha.
So I think you would like that. District 9 was a good one as well.
Yeah, District 9's not an alien invasion movie, though. I don't consider that one an alien invasion movie. I mean, obviously, it's past First Contact. That's a really excellent movie, but it is a very different kind of movie because it's not an invasion movie at all. I mean, it's really about it's basically speciesist apartheid for refugees.
There was another one. They had this series back in the 80s, 90s, where the aliens came and were co-living with us. The ones that their idea of alcohol was spoiled milk. I don't remember the name of the show.
Yeah, no, I can't remember it either. I saw the original movie in the fucking theater with James Caan and was it Manny Patinkin? Who's the other guy? The alien?
Alien Nation was what it was.
Alien Nation, yeah, there it is. Thank you. Enemy Mine was different. That was Luke Gossett Jr. and God damn it. I can't remember the star's name. Fuck. Anyway, that was a good flick. The series wasn't bad. I just wasn't all interested in it, but I really did like the movie. And I liked Enemy Mine. I thought that was a really good movie too. That's an interesting flick because it's the clash of two cultures and two beings learning how to communicate and pushing aside all the bullshit from from the war that's going on and actually behave as or sentient beings trying to understand one another. That's kind of what makes that movie cool. I liked it. It's a good flick. Yeah, you are the villain in your own story.
The kind of story where, let me reread what Matt said for those that aren't watching the video. There's nothing like stories where the POV character discovers he's the bad guy. Nothing like finding out you are the villain in your own story. I like the ones where the change is incremental. It just happens slowly to the point to where suddenly you're not the good guy anymore. You're the bad guy. And you didn't quite see it happen.
There's a great film called Goodnight Mommy. Netflix or Amazon just remade it. It's originally French. And I saw the original. I just saw the American version, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't good though. The French version's fucking amazing. But basically, it's a deal where the main character is a kid, and the kid does not think that the woman that is recovering in the house is his mother. So he and his brother are trying to figure out the mystery if the woman that's in the house with them is really their mom. And it's fucked up. And when it gets to the end and you figure out what's going on and the kid figures out what's going on, it is just kind of mind-stabbingly painful. It's a good flip. And then to see where it goes after that, it's very French. But it's a really good flick from that standpoint. There's been a couple of movies I've watched recently where the villain, the protagonist realizes they're the villain and just says, okay. And just keeps going because their delusional psychosis is such that even though part of them understands what they're doing, they don't care. Saint Maud, great flick. Highly recommend it. It was made on a shoestring budget. It's got very, very simple special effects and is fucking amazing. The other good one is Nocturne, which is a Amazon original. Watch that one too. That one just takes place at a music school. And it's pretty cool. I enjoyed the hell out of both of those. Really
Another
good.
Interesting alien invasion movie, going back to the other, was Dark City. Did you ever see that one?
Yeah, I did. That's kind of a mind fuck.
It was. It totally was.
But I don't even know if you can call that an alien invasion story.
Oh, Mr. Hand and all the people behind the scenes manipulating the humans. That certainly seems like alien invasion.
No. That's not invasion. They've already taken over, brother. That's human containment. That's totally different.
When does alien invasion stop? When you lose? Is that no longer alien invasion?
No, it's no longer aliens are not invaded. They fucking took over. Now it's dystopian slavery, captivity, whatever the fuck you want to call it, bullshit. Occupation. It's not invasion, it's occupation. Totally different animal. So, yeah. There, I said it.
Dark City is humans in a terrarium.
Yeah, that too. Tony says there's a brain disorder where people fail to visually recognize people they know and see them as imposters, but as long as they're not physically there and in sight, they won't think it's an imposter. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, there's also the common legend of the Skinwalker, which is where this organism can take on the visage and voice and mannerisms of anyone. And I'm sure that's been around a very, very long time as far as the human psyche goes. I imagine it's been there a very, very long time, but that's a common fear people have. Are you really the person that I knew or I know? Are you somebody else? All good questions. Let's see what else. Oh, yeah. Brad Pitt has this. There's an actual mental condition that causes face blindness, but apparently you can still recognize voices. Yep.
Brad Brad Pitt can't recognize faces?
Supposedly, he's going more and more face blind.
Wow, I did not know.
Yeah, there's actually a horror movie about that.
I'd heard he was talking about retiring, and maybe that's the reason why.
That's why. That is why. So there's a lot. If you want to write suspense thriller stuff on with mentally addled characters, it's fun. It's fun, but it's difficult to stay away from a lot of the cliches. So you kind of have to get down and dirty with it and go a little deeper than the average TV movie is going to have you go. Oh, we're trying to do the same thing. Drew says there's a great podcast called Don't Look in the Woods about the thing Paul was talking about and the other creatures we don't mention by name. Yeah, all the little cryptids and the little scary things that come out of legend that we have. I was listening to Distractable, and Markiplier made a very interesting point, which is he wonders if our warning about uncanniness that makes us feel so uneasy, if it's due somehow to some split that happened in our evolutionary tree, 100, 200,000 years ago, whenever that was, when we started branching off into different things, if some relationship didn't change, or if there wasn't a creature, some accelerated, I can't remember the term for it, some rapid evolutionary cast off, Callisto, I guess, that came out and started causing problems. And it's even though after we defeated it, stick around as an ancestral memory. And that kind of makes you wonder exactly, how much is keeps being stored in our brains and passed along. If you go in there, could you see that history?
I kind of suspect that if there's something like that, it's actually from much further back than that.
Probably.
To actually be hardwired into the primitive sector of our brain, it's not going to be 100,000 years ago. It's going to be significantly longer than that.
Well, however long ago it is, the point stands is it caused by some kind of ancestral memory? Not my tribe, not my people, not my friend.
The uncanny valley is a strange functionality inside the brain. It can mess you up.
Yes, it can. That's one. But he was talking about cryptids in the sense that, part of the reason why they freak people out so much, giant spider. You've seen spiders all your life, but a giant one, a big one where you can see the details, it's horrifying. It's absolutely horrifying. So the very idea of having something like that is, again, uncanny. If you saw a spider walking down the street, large, as big as a car, I'm pretty sure your reality has gone out the window at that point, because anything's possible. Maybe. I hadn't heard that one. Maybe. I don't know. It's an interesting, I guess you'd have to know the context. I just know the Skinwalker and myth is universal. I know the uncanny thing about large, hairy, men-looking things is also kind of universal. They're all over the place. They all have these similarities, and from cultures that did not come in contact with one another. So is it just ancestral? Is it just some fear that comes up, or do we really have Sasquatch running around in every continent?
I think we have, Sasquatch running around because the hunting Bigfoot people are sure he exists.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. But regardless of that, for everybody to kind of react that way, there has to be something there. There's got to be some kind of Jungian or evolutionary biological thing back there that's triggering that. And, if you're a horror writer, part of your bread and butter is digging in there and trying to bring that stuff up and trying to conjure it in people's heads. It's just part of what we do. Let's see, what is this? Matt says, unsure exactly how much genetic memory actually exists, but on the same coin is the acquired traits. I mean, one genetic line survives in preference to another. The program has to come up from somewhere. Yeah. It's I guess it's probably impossible for us to know, and I'm certainly not an evolutionary psychologist or whatever that degree would be that would even have a clue about to talk about this shit. But it just seems to me that there's got to be that the mechanism is there, and it just makes you wonder what else is there. Is there something else that we haven't seen that's going to have that same trigger where we're just like, I need to stay away from that, or that's not good? You know, somebody's going to strike that up.
Yeah. Tony says uncanny valley things normally lack the cues of small muscle movement and blood color, vessel changes, whatnot. Wouldn't Commander Data from Star Trek have triggered an uncanny valley reaction? If that
did.
Did he really?
For me, yeah.
I didn't feel shit.
Well, it wasn't like a strong response, but the between the eyes, the skin, and then the kind of the, I guess, the quirky robotic movements that Spinner put into that character, occasionally it would just kind of be like, ugh, okay, that's odd.
Maybe it's just me, but I don't even have that kind of reaction to like the Japanese robots that have realistic faces. I don't find them, you know, terrifying or horrifying or any weirdness. I recognize, oh, that's a robot. And I'm not sure why that doesn't freak me out.
I think it has. I think it all depends on the situation and the conditions. I bet you I could put together a scenario where that would definitely freak you the fuck out.
I'm sure you probably could, but I'm just going with, you know, people get triggered in the real world with the uncanny valley thing, and I'm guessing that there are different levels of response to it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But you know, but you can look at the more general effects of something like Slender Man, and how the mythology jumped off the page with that look, the really, really long arms, um the hands that damn near drag the ground, the overly long legs, the all that stuff adds to something that should not exist. And so I think that that's probably part of what drives that, and that's what that valley is there for. I'm just more concerned about, or more interested in why why that valley is there. There's got to be something to that that just is warning us. Nah, that ain't right. Stay the fuck away from it. See, Tony says, someone I know leaked me to a channel of a guy who collects and reviews companion dolls. Are we talking like real doll kind of thing? Or
we're talking about I would like to have sexual relations type dolls.
Real
That's
doll.
the kind of dolls he's talking about.
Real doll. Okay. I don't know how many different manufacturers there are, but I bet there are tons of them.
I've seen various articles go by talking about the Japanese developing of sex robots, and they're getting kind of spooky. Okay, they've been spooky for a while, but they're getting spookier.
Yeah. Well, yeah, now they ask you to leave the money on the table. Actually say that out loud. Somebody was talking about the Dutch wife.
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what that is? Okay, so the Dutch purportedly had sex dolls made out of hay and cloth that they used while on long journeys.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So that became known as having a Dutch wife. Now, when they went to Japan, they introduced the concept of the Dutch wife. And so what you're seeing now are the original Dutch wives. This is the evolution of the original Dutch wives.
Okay. Here's one of those moments where I realize I'm about to just offload this entire show off the rails.
Oh shit, I haven't already.
So now we're talking Dutch wives. You know, that makes me think of the Amish, who are based on the Dutch. And so if you're having, you know, relations with your Dutch wife, is that churning the butter?
Anyway, so Yeah, whatever. He apparently doesn't use them, but he reviews their features, and his audience is also unnerving. Companion AIs are suddenly becoming really popular. They even advertise on Facebook. Yeah, this scares the shit out of me. It really does. It really does. Oh my God. It's just terrifying. I got nothing. Get that off the screen. I know you repeated that. Oh my God. You sicko. You know, if there was going to be a fetish, though, they'd be attracted to that. I'm sure it will be. Oh no, we have a kitten appearance. A black kitty with green eyes.
This is Mr. Bear. Bear has a wound on his forehead where somebody smacked him and cut him.
I saw that. Oh, poor Bear.
Poor the Chew Toy smacked him and cut him.
You know, you can't surprise me about the sex bots thing because I follow an account on Twitter called buttplug.io who makes all the software and a raw software essentially for sex toys. So that they can integrate with one another and talk to the same control system. So I get to see some really interesting stuff behind the scenes.
We should probably get away from this subject because, you know, we're already dipping into the gutter.
Well, yeah, it's us. Where else will we be? That's kind of our thing.
You know, our audience herded us here. Have you ever thought that, you know, they do this on purpose?
Do what?
Maybe they have this bet of how long they can get it to the weird sex jokes. How long? It's now taken 56 minutes into the show before we get to the weird sex jokes.
It takes help from them? Well, then again, you know what? We were having a nice, sober, family values fucking show, and then he had to go be an asshole and bring in sex bots, and then we got off on this ridiculous tangent when we were having this good conversation about creepy stuff, and he brings in creepy stuff. What the fuck?
I'm not sure how we got to the sex bots.
He mentioned them. He mentioned
who's he? I'm not sure who started this. Me?
So
me? I mentioned them.
I'm wagging my finger at Tony.
I'm pretty sure I didn't actually
Tony.
do this one up.
Bad boy, Tony. Teledildonics. Oh my God. I just we're gonna go extinct as a race. The human race deserves to go extinct. Yes, sex toys have been hacked. That is correct. It's another reason why I sit there and I go, people, you don't want to buy the smart devices. Stay the fuck away from them. Don't do it. It's bad for you. It looks all glitzy and helpful. It's not. It's eavesdropping. It's another input for hackers to get into. It's bullshit. Stay away from it.
Tony's right. We got here by the uncanny valley thing. That's how we got there. And I'm not sure that Tony brought it in or if I mentioned the Japanese sex bot.
Oh, maybe it was you that did.
Maybe
I can't
it was me.
Regardless, now you've learned about Dutch wives. You're all welcome.
Thanks for that.
This is where the uncanny valley it leads. Also where the uncanny valley ends. The hell with this uncanny valley.
So if we were to take the trends in Japan now and write it into a science fiction movie set hundreds of years from now, what would the Japanese be up to?
I have no idea.
I know it's horrifying to think that far in advance about what weird tentacle porn they're going to be doing, but nonetheless, we should do it.
I can't really fathom what it's going to look like 10 years, let alone 100 years from now. I really don't know. Yeah, true. I know they say, and I'm sure they do. The only problem is what they can't control is they can't protect the device from communicating back to home. That's the problem. That's the problem. What was your question?
Did I have a question? Oh, I was trying to say, how would we project something like, you know, what we already see is somewhat strange and bizarre, like the Japanese,
right?
Whatever they're doing, take it out 100 years in the future, how can we possibly imagine and project what they're going to be doing?
I'll give you one even closer that doesn't sound nearly as insane, but I'll just go ahead and throw it out there. Let's go 20 years. Let's go 20 years. Let's say we have finally figured out we can no longer have livestock. They cost too much in resources. They cost too much water. They cost too much this. We can't grow special crops for them. Therefore, we can't do this, that, and the other. We now have to change our diet. What's that going to look like?
Well, the obvious answer is that we will have to exterminate half the world's population so that I can continue to have meat. That's the answer.
I somehow knew that was coming along. My point is that something that sounds really crazy right now, you can kind of already see the writing on the wall. As far as like all the sex stuff in my mind is, well, yeah, that's entirely possible. Yeah. Next Japanese fetish made to order sex clones of people you know. I think that's already happening, dude.
You know, they already have these sex bots that you can remove the face and put different faces on, so it's almost there.
They're already crafting real dolls from porn stars. And they have been. So what's the difference between doing that and sending them a 3D render of your friend or whatever? Drew says 20 years in the future. So we were trying to make artificial meat and accidentally made Godzilla. Sorry, our bad. See, it's just a question of, where are the things going to go? Obviously, I think within the next 10 to 15 years, all the sex dolls are going to have some kind of VR attachment to them, or they're going to have sensor haptics to do stuff. There's absolutely no telling where it's going to go. And every time I think there's a limit, there's not.
What did they call the sex thing that they were having in Demolition Man? It had some weird...
I can't remember.
They were wearing headsets. It was all virtual.
Yeah, it was all virtual. Yeah, because they more or less basically outlawed touching.
That's what JR had said.
Yeah, VR outlawed Demolition Man. I think basically it leads to the extinction of the race of the species. That's just me. Great Futurama episode. I know I've referenced it before, but it's out there. It's all about what happens when humans and robots start having sex. It all ends in tears. It's all bad. All bad. In terms of giving up meat, I've tried some insects. Locusts were kind of like prawns. Yikes. Yikes. I'm not sure I'm ready there yet. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
Which better not be caught in the Taco Bell bathroom. That's all I'm saying.
Which Taco Bell? The KFC Taco Bell? The McDonald's Taco Bell? Oh, yeah. Drew says, I fully expect in my lifetime there will be a lawsuit over a sex doll made with a celebrity's likeness. Yes, it is the Futurama episode all over again. It absolutely is.
The problem with doing celebrity likenesses for your sex doll is somebody's going to go out of their way to pick one of the really ugly ones. I don't know who that would be, but I'm sure that they would go out of their way to do it. Maybe Danny DeVito. The Danny DeVito sex doll.
I was thinking more of the Phyllis Diller one. I'm talking about 80s Phyllis Diller, with the full, Hollywood Squares routine. Maybe that was 70s. I guess it was 70s. I'm talking about 70s Phyllis Diller. With the huge hair and the whole 9 yards. Yeah, I want that.
Go to the center square, get Paul, what's his name? But he has to talk.
Paul Lynn. Paul Lynn.
Oh my God, that man. Oh, he was amazing.
He was hilarious. He was absolutely out of control. It was great.
That's why they hired him to be the center square.
He was a lunatic. Are you serious? Lindsay Lohan sued Rockstar Games over one of the box art GTA characters for using her likeness. Which one? Huh. Ow! Do we have enough material to make a doll of Danny DeVito? I heard he uses a monster condom for his Magnum dong. What?
You know, you sure you should have put that on the screen?
I didn't read all of it.
That's how I got the other one on. I didn't quite get to the end before I put it on.
No, I didn't mean to star that. Get that off the screen. Was he really that supposedly well endowed? He and John Hamm, did they like have lightsaber duels?
Maybe he really is the same size as Arnold Schwarzenegger in Twins. We just didn't realize.
Damn.
Oh my God.
Don't know who Phyllis Diller is. Go look it up. And that's not how you spell her first name. That's not how you spell anybody's first name.
I think he was pretty much, making a sex joke there.
Maybe. You need therapy now. There's a show that Kevin Smith and Ralph Garman do called Hollywood Babylon. It's a podcast. They do live audience, do in front of a live audience. And their last bit before they close off every show is how big is Liam Neeson's cock? Because supposedly it is like the most terrifying thing in all of Hollywood. There's all these rumors about it and everything else. So viewers send in, or listeners send in jokes about how large his equipment is. It's pretty funny. It's a whole bit. I wasn't aware there was such a thing, but what are you going to do? And that's this episode demonetized.
Seeing Dean talk about Patreon reminds me that I saw a news article just a couple of days ago, less than a week, that Patreon let their entire IT security department go. The entire thing. Which
is disingenuous. However, who the fuck knows what the truth is? Regardless, they got I don't know what they're doing at this point. And it's always difficult to believe who's doing what at what point as well. So I have no idea. Nothing has changed thus far. It doesn't affect us. Doesn't affect us at all. Excuse me. You were being funny. Well, see, I don't know how young or old you youngins people are. I have no idea if you even know who the fuck we're talking about half the time.
See, JR talks about having a sense of humor, but I'm not convinced. I've never actually seen it.
I'm not really even going to go there. I think there's probably going to be some changes coming. Depending on what happens with certain bills that just got passed in Texas, depending on how those court cases go, things may change very radically on public platforms, period. They've kind of opened it up to where now they can basically sue the social media companies for putting something up or doing something, or even, controlling their content. So
that's not actually the case of that's not the specific details anyway. I will say what the law you're talking about in question is that they can't kick someone off for expressing an opinion or a specific view, as long as it's not violating the law. Or
therein lies the problem, because it is so incredibly vague. It will essentially strip. It is an extremely vague thing, the way it's worded. And that's the problem. And that's the problem with trying to legislate any of this bullshit, is because the moment you leave any kind of wiggle room like that is going to be completely inconsistent, which it is now. It is now.
The social media platforms are very inconsistent about what they do and how they do it at this point anyway. It's pretty obvious that they have their own agendas that they're pushing. And I think that at some point we're going to realize, under the legal standing anyway, that even private companies that are doing social media have become the public square. And the same type of First Amendment rules that apply in the public square should apply online as well.
No, because the government's not involved. The government's
not involved in what?
In control of any of the social media platforms. If I start a club, okay, or I have my house here, if I graffiti on my walls, that's my business. If somebody else graffitis on my walls, that's also my business. But now it's police deal because somebody violated my property.
So
I have
how do we deal with a future society where some corporation owns, like Facebook does or Twitter does?
Wow, maybe we shouldn't have fucking monopolies. Maybe that would kind of fix the fucking problem now, wouldn't it?
Didn't mean to push Paul over the edge. I was actually asking a kind of valid question, because that's going to be something in the future of writing anyway, or future,
already there.
Like writing 20 years in the future.
We're already there.
We're in that place, and we've got to find a way as a society to deal with it. And I don't know what the right answer is, but there's got to be something.
I don't know either.
Somehow it's going to have to be accommodated that people can have disagreements, and it's going to have to be carried over to the public square that is now owned by private entities. And I don't know how that's going to work. Welcome to these laws, which are trying to start that process. Whether it's the right answer, I'm not going to say. I don't know.
Oh, they're just going to be a clusterfuck. It's just going to be a total clusterfuck. I would rather move to decentralized. Move everybody to Discord. There's DRS. This is our community. This is what we do. You don't like it, fuck off and die. It's very simple. Here are our rules. Break them, you're gone. That's it. That way we don't have to rely on a corp to handle that bullshit. But that's just me. Regardless, yes, I agree it's a problem. It's a humongous problem. It has been a huge problem. But the politics that are involved, the money that's involved, the people who are pushing these things have their own political agenda, left or right, doesn't fucking matter. It's the same shit. It's control of information, and it's pitting people against one another. But the moment anybody on their platform allows anybody else to make threats of violence, that's a problem that needs to be dealt with. As in, you get kicked off the platform. Fuck you. You don't get a platform.
I totally agree.
You don't get one. You can go fuck yourself.
I got a post. I've never gotten a ban. I've got a warning for posting something on Facebook that it was a totally non-confrontational anything. Somebody had said, hey, what about this other thing? And I said, that wasn't me that did that. This was another person. Go shoot them. And that got zapped because I used the word shoot them.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
So the bot got me. And unfortunately, all of these are bots.
Of course they are. If I try to monetize my YouTube content at this point, or even DRS for that matter, assuming we ever got enough subscribers, part of the issue is that now they have these bots going and listening to the content, right? And so they can go in and they can find words or find something and flag it. And then you have to rely on humans to fix it if it's inadvertently flagged, which has happened to us before. We weren't even trying to monetize and we got flagged twice because I was singing nonsense that had nothing to do with the song, and some bot came along and triggered and said, oh, this song is owned to somebody. What song? I was just making a bullshit in my head. But that's the kind of crap that happens. Now they have access to your transcripts. And now they run automatic transcript bullshit over your episode and then go looking for it and flagging it. And then on top of that, now people are review bombing. And if you get enough dislikes, they decide that they need to look in and probably pull your content.
We're sorry, sir. Citizen, I'm afraid you're guilty of wrong think.
Well, it's not even wrong think because there's no rhyme or reason. The algorithms make no sense. They have explained nothing. There is no consistency. There's no transparency, no visibility, no sense at all of what the rules are. And it's impossible and very difficult to make money on a platform where you don't know if your next piece of art is going to be banned for making money. So it's a problem that a whole shit ton of people are getting into on YouTube and other platforms too, I'm sure. It's just a mess. It is a fucking mess. Disaster area. And now they're saying that YouTube's going to have 5 ads per ad break. that they're rolling out. Each of these ads,
that's a lot of ads.
That's a lot of ads. Each of them are only like 5 to 10 seconds long, they promise, but they're basically tripling down on ad revenue. And of course, they won't have a gatekeeper doing the ads because they never do. So all the fraudulent shit and all the other crap will come through there, roaring through like it always does. So yeah, basically what they're trying to say is if you don't want to pay, you're going to pay.
Drew says all the internet is bots. Don't you know that? And I think that's proof that Drew is in fact a bot.
I agree. That kind of comment can only come from a bot. Only come from a bot. Vote? What is vote? VOAT? I don't know what that is. Oh, the dregs of Reddit. I stay away from Reddit. I think everybody should stay away from Reddit, except for the pet rooms. The pet rooms are okay, but all the rest of Reddit's pretty much trash hole.
You know, when you say pet rooms on Reddit, I'm being dragged back to the, Japanese sex.
Okay. The pet subreddits. All right. I'll use the proper terminology. Oh, Vote was a Reddit clone. Never even heard of it. Wow. How did I not hear about that? The dregs of Reddit.
Pretty soon, the entire internet is going to be nothing but 4chan.
Oh, God, let's hope not. Holy cow. Let's hope not. Oh, because then you got to dig deeper. Then you find 8chan and it's all over.
I think that when you talk 4chan, you definitely shouldn't say dig deeper. That is not a good way to go.
4chan's so pedestrian. That's for old men. We got 8chan and 16chan, and God knows what the fuck else.
Okay, well, I never went to 4chan back when it was bad. So, I didn't know that there was anything worse.
Yeah, there are places on the internet I don't go, and any of those, yeah, those are places I don't go. Mainly for sanity. Oh. Drew says if he's a bot, then he has a bone to pick with his creator because whoever wrote his code made a lot of mistakes. He is very broken.
So, a sentient AI.
Oh, no.
Story, getting back to stories here. A sentient AI in one of Paul's stories realizes that his creators have left a bug in his code. And that is a plot that goes through the entire novel, trying to figure out how he can rewrite his own code to fix the OCD little bug that's just bugging the hell out of him.
Basically, if you think about it, though, that's what the movie Blade Runner is. If you think about it, they're just coming back and saying, we need to fix this bug. And the bug is what is going to kill us. Fix the bug. So, man, it's Frankenstein's monster coming back to the creator and saying, fix me, you broke me. You made me wrong. There's something wrong here. Fix it. And God's saying, I can't. That is about the most powerful story I think there is. Yes, 8chan is real. You did not know that. It's a real thing.
What is this? JR has now dropped out of the chat. He's off to find out what 8chan is.
I must go find this 8chan. Or 8kun or whatever they call it. KUN. I don't know. I'm not up on all that shit.
Okay, now that's fun.
Turns out the bug is the error checking code that made it care that there being a bug. We didn't get a damage report. Why not? The damage report machine is damaged. That's insane.
Somehow your AI ends up being like Monk.
Oh, God. No. Let's not do that. Let's absolutely not do that shit. Once again, I can think of better ways to handle that. Just saying. Oh, God. It's just such a mess. I am not OCD about anything. Probably not why I'm good at my job. Actually, OCD, ADHD, yeah, there's a certain mix of that, but I would say that that's everybody who's creative. That's just me. What do I know? Terry, do you have any other interesting topics?
No. I think it's time to start polling the audience to see where they're going to drag us.
Oh, God. Well, I know there are quite a few in your chat, so I guess the Q&A has been opened up. Yes, that was from Red Dwarf. I know. The damage report computer is damaged. Yes, I only steal from the best. Red Dwarf was one of my favorite shows in college. One of my absolutely favorite shows. We would get drunk and we played a game where we would watch the first 2 seasons, and every time Cat said fish, you had to take a drink. So there's that one episode where he says fish like 7 times in a row. Yeah, we skipped that episode because we'd all died. Matt doesn't want to be polled. Wrong spelling, dude. Wrong concept, wrong context.
He's afraid you're going to give him the shaft.
Oh. Well, where else am I going to put my flag?
Plant that, baby.
Oh, yes. Here we go. I want someone to write a story about standing in the queue. Have you been keeping
talking
up
about
with
the one leading to the Queen's viewing?
Yes.
Okay.
So I found this great. I'm going to have to share it on in the Discord for DRS. But basically, a mathematician came up with a solution to get all 14 billion people through the queue to get to see the Queen. He basically imagined and 3D modeled a conveyor system and put the coffin on a robotic arm so that it could move around, and everybody would have at least 4 seconds to see the Queen before they were ejected on this 60-mile-an-hour conveyor belt. He figured he could fit, 100 per second, 100 viewers per second. It would still take like 2 days to get them all through at 60 miles an hour. It's like, how the fuck are you guys ever going to get out of there? Oh, yeah, this is definitely a Douglas Adams level story. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. 22-hour waiting time? Yeah, I think it's going to be longer than that, Hoss. That's just the line. Oh, my God. It's so bad. It's so bad. I don't know. I'm not British, so I can't possibly understand it.
So he was talking about writing a story that's actually in the queue. I can see certain stories talking. You can have the entire psychodrama right there in the queue.
There's a Futurama episode. I keep mentioning Futurama, but there's so many goddamn good things. So they have to go to the central bureaucracy, and they're in this humongously long line. And there's a guy in front of them, and they ask him what he's there for. And he's like, he's there for something or other. Oh, yeah, he's still waiting for his birth certificate. And they're like, well, how long you been here? 40 years. His teeth just fall down to the ground. And everybody steps back and goes, oops, somebody delivered a baby. It's awesome.
Yeah, here is what I think they should do. Here would be a great story about the queue. Somebody with a puckish sense of humor, maybe the Queen, since she's had a sense of humor, goes ahead and makes arrangements to close the actual entrance to where she's being displayed. And the queue is just a circle going around the building, and you wait to see how long it takes for them to realize they're just walking around the building.
That would be so British.
Wait, no, here's a better idea. Somebody goes down the line greeting people in the queue. It's a Queen impersonator dressed like the Queen that looks just like her. And it's actually the Queen because she's not really dead. That's the story.
Oh, God.
She's at her own funeral.
Drew said there's a new conspiracy theory that the Queen was murdered because they didn't release her autopsy. You know, the autopsy for a 96-year-old woman. It had to be that last deadlift she did.
The steroids that got her, man. The steroids.
At 96, I don't think you have to be murdered. You just have to fall the wrong way. You just have to sit the wrong way and something breaks. Jesus. 5 mile queue. 5 mile queue, Terry. Think about that for a second. 5 miles of miserable assholes sitting in one line. It's like the Pink Floyd concert I went to trying to get in.
You know what else you could do? You could have the most massive game of telephone ever.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So what happens is somebody at the very beginning of the line starts the story, and then everybody has to write a scene all the way down through the queue. Holy shit, what kind of crazy.
I've seen telephone played in a classroom with just like 30 people in it. I can hardly imagine what the story would be like. Just some simple couple of sentence story would be like at the end of the queue. Oh my gosh.
Oh, this is bad. Drew says, do you know why there are pyramids in Egypt? They were too heavy to be moved to the British Museum. Yes.
Your story.
I've seen all the museums. Yeah, I could also say same thing about the Germans. And that says he heard that Anthony Hopkins went to see Silence of the Lambs to see what people reactions to it were like. Yeah, someone what she thought of it and she ran off screaming. I believe that one. I saw that one in the theater while in college. And when I came out of there, I felt like reality had just kind of shifted. Everything seemed weird. Really, 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 really affected me. The movie was so fucking crazy.
You can do all kinds of weird things in the queue. That's a great fertile ground for writing some weird stories.
It kind of, for some reason, it brings back Stephen King's The Long Walk. If you're not familiar with that, it's a novella he wrote. I can't remember if he wrote that as the other guy. He was his pen name or what. But anyway, it's about a group of kids join a competition, which is to see who can walk the longest. And the winner gets, I think they get to ask for whatever they want. Imagine someone getting to the front of the line and saying, wait, I thought this was the line for the bathroom. Yeah, that worked too. Anyway, Terry. Well, yeah, that's true. It's not just the British. It's all of them. It's all of them.
Look, Williams arrived just in time for the end of the show. Well, it's not quite the end of the show yet. But yeah,
it's getting close. It's getting close. You totally fucked up what I was trying to say. The Long Walk is about a competition for children where they have to walk the longest. And if they stop walking, they get shot. So basically you have to, once you join this, there's no way to bow out. You have to keep going. You're not allowed to breaks. And you just basically keep walking and walking and walking and walking.
There is something about that. It was one of the little subplots in in an RPG book that I bought, that it's fantasy world. So there's this mystical, it's a group of people going on seeing places, a tour basically, that as long as you stay with the tour, you stay alive. You're right. Immortal. But when you leave, time catches up with you and you die. Go with it long enough and you can never stop, or you die.
Somebody put a very, very funny poem on Twitter about the queue. I wish I'd saved it. But it was all about the queue basically taking over all of Britain and then suddenly moving out into Europe and spreading. People didn't even understand what they were lining up for, but they were all lining up for it all across the world. You know, pretty soon everybody's in the queue. It just swallows everybody.
Tony Joyce says, yeah. Dan Carlin's Hardcore History has an example of the Persian Empire, ancient people stealing monuments from the conquered people. And it's still true today. Even in recent wars, the military takes enemy battle standards. It's not, like stealing everything from the country, but they take their mementos. Or
the Hobby Lobby folks who illegally trafficked artifacts from Iraq. They were
That's
quote unquote
not
liberated.
Quite the same thing as conquering, someone else and taking their shit.
No,
that is straight up illegal bullshit.
It's kind of the same thing. People just basically want to take antiquities from other cultures that don't belong to them. I don't know. I saw the Pergamon, God, when was that? That'd have been 86 or 87 when I was in Germany. So I saw the Pergamon Museum in East Germany, and they still had all the stuff that they had taken from Iraq and all the other stuff. They had a portion of Ishtar's Gate in there. They had all sorts of crazy shit, and it was just nuts looking at all that stuff. Going, this should not be here. It's really cool that I can see it, but this should not be here. I have no idea where it is now. I don't know if it's still there or not. But it's always kind of interesting to me what people just think they can take. And it seems like at some point, if we keep going along those lines, then we're going to have issues. But it's just me.
Nick Cage had a dinosaur skull? I don't know that I'd ever heard that.
A dinosaur skull? All cultures are beautiful, which is why I collect their important things. Yeah, there you go. See, that's what happens. There's going to be an alien species that comes along, and they're going to think about us that way. We're just basically a play set they pick up and put in their yard. Go let the 3 and 4-year-olds go fuck with. Oh, Terry's looking for something. That can't be good.
Yeah. Tony posted a link. I don't know that I can actually click the link to go see what it is about Nicolas Cage's Tyrannosaur head.
Batar, Mongolia. Hopeless.
So I don't know that I can actually click it in this environment.
Probably not. Because
if I click it, it's just going to display it on the screen. So yeah.
Whatevs. Did anybody else get an adjustment on their Audible royalties?
Haven't seen one, but I'm not surprised to hear that they keep doing them. Their reporting system stinks.
I brought this up on Discord, I think the last week or the week ago. I don't remember which, but my adjustment was like $23 for July. So part of me is wondering how much more is fucked up. So I just wonder I wondered if anybody else had gotten an adjustment. So I'd love to know how prevalent that is. So I just thought I'd ask. I don't know anymore. I just don't know. Well, what else do you know, Terry? They're not giving us a whole lot to work with here.
They're not, and that link only goes to a paywall on
New York Times.
New York Times. So I'll just assume that Nicolas Cage has a skull that he has returned from wherever the hell he got it.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it for an instant.
Is it illegal to have a dinosaur skull?
Or
is it illegal because it was illegally taken?
If it was illegally taken, then yes, I would imagine it's illegal.
Well, I imagine so. I was asking a more general question. Is it illegal to own part of a dinosaur skeleton? Because, we may want to collect one. We want to assemble our own Tyrannosaur.
I have absolutely no idea. I just do not know. Either you've written multiple projects at once. If so, tips, best practices. That's all I do is write everything. Oh, that's a good question.
I clicked the wrong one there, but it moved while I was doing it.
Which one were you actually trying to click on?
I was going to click on JR since he asked the question first, but it moved up before I could do it.
There we go.
That's I can't write multiple projects. My brain, no.
I wrote Oceania and Station 3 at the same time. Tips. For me, it worked best to switch every other day or carve out morning for one project and afternoon, evening for the other. Sometimes I would get stuck on one and I would just flip over to the other one and keep moving. And by the time I finished getting stuck on that one, when I came back to the other, it was ready. But also I had a lot of spur to get Oceania done because I was writing as a serial. So I think that's one of the other reasons that all worked out together. But I think you just kind of have to feel your way through it and see what happens. At some point, one project takes over. For me anyway, at some point, one project takes over. You hit that 60% mark or 50 or 60% mark. And then after that, it's all downhill. And you're rushing, your brain is trying to get to the end and everything starts making sense and you're able to go. So the problem is that you have to know that at some point, one of them is going to take your heart and soul. Maybe you're different than I am. Maybe you can keep them separate and give them all the love that they need, each of them. But at some point, one of them is going to wrap you up and say, hey, I'm here. You need to finish me. And just kind of go with that as it is.
There's the one you had up, Paul. Does everybody here write commercially? Does anyone write for other reasons? I'm a commercial writer, and Paul just writes for the futile effort of becoming a commercial writer.
Ow.
I'm just kidding.
The Black's not commercial? My God.
Okay, maybe I should have said JR. That would have been better.
I never thought I'd ever make money off of writing, even when that was my dream. So I am not doing well sales-wise. I'm kind of like on the verge of losing my house and shit. But I'm still doing better than the vast majority of the writers out there. But even if there was no money at stake, I'd still be writing. Back when I was doing tattoo and closetries, there was no money coming in. That was all for the podcast. It was all just to tell stories, just get people to listen to my work and talk to them, try and build a following. And if some money came out of it, then that was cool too. But primarily was I wanted to create, and I got to the point where I felt like I could create some stuff that people would enjoy if they could find it. And I decided that that was worth enough doing it because there were people there who liked my stories. And when you get enough people bothering you to write the next tale for them, you start to realize that, okay, maybe I don't suck too bad at this. And so you want to keep doing it and you want to keep doing it. And at some point you make the decision to be a dumbass and say, I want to make this my career. And it's a little bit of a different animal when you get into that space and have to deal with things differently and set your expectations differently. And it's a totally different ballgame. It comes with a lot of gotchas. Being a professional writer, and that's your day job, is a tough road to hoe unless you kind of work the system and work really hard and you get a little luck. It's doesn't matter how hard you work, you can get missed. And some people who barely work at all end up, becoming superstars. It's maddening, but it's the way it is. So writing for the fun has always been the case. Writing for, self-therapy, everything else, it's always been the case with me as long as I can remember. So I'd be writing, even when I wasn't writing, I was writing. Even when I took the long ass break I did from fiction, I was still writing fiction. I just didn't tell anybody.
And something I should be clear about is me poking fun at either Paul or JR does not mean that I'm actually implying that they are not commercial. I'm just being a guy and being an asshole. That's what I'm being.
He's being Terry. Mm-hmm. But I do think that's a good question, though. I can't imagine doing something like writing as crazy, as unpredictable, as financially tenuous as it is. I can't imagine trying to do this for a job if you didn't love it. I just can't imagine you trying to do the job at all and making money off of it if you don't love writing, if you would just be writing to write, regardless of whether or not it was making money.
So it's time where we should, do a working 9-to-5 song, working 9 to 5 to trying to write the words down for a living.
Well, I mean, when I was leading a team at Schlumberger, I was still writing, and I was working, 12 to 16 hours a day, and I was still writing and getting podcasting done. And then when they finally laid me off, that was when I decided that fuck it, I'm done with tech for a while, and started trying to do full time way back then. Didn't work out then either.
I for one hope that you take on more programming jobs so that you do not in fact lose your house, because who wants to lose that view on the show?
Oh, it's a great view right now, isn't it?
It's a great view. Possum signs and everything.
Possum signs and everything. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Honestly, you need to do what you need to do to make your life, successful. Sometimes if it's, even if you want to write, you've got to step back and do something else. And being able to avoid having your house foreclosed is one of those things, Paul.
Well, I mean, I just got done doing some contract work. I'm in the market for more contract work, and writing this book as quickly as possible. So hopefully I can sell it to somebody before the contract work comes in. So there you go. See, Matt says, with several things I've ended up doing as a second job, doing it commercially meant that I lost a lot of the love for it. Did commercial writing change things much for you? No. Not really.
As a commercial writer, my goal from the very beginning of writing under my own name has always been writing stories that I want to tell because I want to hear them. I want to find out what happens next. So it really hasn't changed anything. When I was writing erotica, on the other hand, I was trying to titillate, and that changes a man forever. I'll never look at sheep the same way again. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
No sheep were harmed during any of the fiction that I've ever written.
No sheep were ever harmed in Terry's imagination.
That's bad. That's really bad.
Are you my daddy? Yeah.
Are you my daddy?
Plot twist. He was not kidding. No, I don't think for either of us this really changed. But yeah, Terry focused on space opera after the pornocalypse. So, well, like a lot of people, actually, quite a few writers I knew had to move on or had to go get other jobs after pornocalypse.
I was still working at NASA at the time, so it wasn't a financial disaster for me, but it highlighted that at any point in time, the companies can take away your livelihood if you're doing that stuff.
That's bad, Tony. You should be ashamed. Should be ashamed. Dino porn.
Don't know what you've been, lad, but I see you in first place.
Well, that's why them Wyoming cowboys wear cowboy boots, right? Because Coloradoans call them sheep holders. Anyway, do you ever have a moment where you feel like everything is going too smoothly, like the words are flowing so well that you become suspicious of where and when the problems are going to show up?
I don't. And part of that flows from the fact that I really don't like my first drafts that much. It's just I'm so deep into the scene that I can't see the story. I can't see the story and decide how good is or not until I do the read through and the editing, because it's too separated. It may be 45 days from the first scene to the last scene, and it's hard to keep that all in your head as a contiguous story. So one of the commercial author things that I picked up is I don't worry about what I think the story is like. I trust my storytelling while I'm in the moment of creating. And then I look at it when I'm done and go, do I like it?
Yes, I have those moments. I've had those moments on this book. I've had those moments on Extinction. I've had those moments during Derelict. I had those moments during Gears. I always have those moments where you're into the flow and you're like, am I writing absolute garbage? And I think the older and the more experience you get, you tend to say, who the fuck cares? because you come to the same realization Terry just said. The editing and going back is where the real magic happens. The first draft is your brain doing a dump, finding the story's edges, putting it together, coming up with all sorts of bombastic ideas that may or may not make sense. And they can be cut in editing. They can be massaged in editing. But you know what they can't be? They can't be right if they're not written. So that's the key thing, is learning how to get the words down and then worrying about going back and making them good later.
What is it Neil Gaiman said? Editing is where you go back and you make it look like you knew what you were doing all along.
Yeah, that's the other one. Yeah. Like, for instance, in this book that I'm writing right now, there are so many things I have done that I'm going to have to go back and rewrite the beginning because I don't know which one I want to choose. But none of them matter. None of them really matter.
Paul writes a book with 4 separate endings that are completely radically different.
I could do that actually with this book. What I mean is why the characters where they are. It doesn't matter. I had them just show up there without any pretense of what they were doing there because I just wanted to get the story going. And I'm going to leave all that other bullshit until after I get to the end of this. And I think I already know how this all happened, but it doesn't really matter. The beginning I'll finish when I get to the end. So this is the tact I'm taking at this point. And it seems to be working right now. So that's kind of the way I'm going with it. Let's see, Drew says, got back into writing on my new meds. I've been flying through the rough draft. After 2 years of not writing is but the relief. It's suspicious to me. I could see that. I wouldn't worry about it, man. Just keep going. Just keep going. Yeah, that happens if you heavily outline or pants it. Yes, that is correct. But this is like the first time I've gone into a book in a long, long time where I have no idea where it is going. I've set everything up, I think, and now I just need to figure out tonight or tomorrow during the next writing session exactly what happens. We'll see. I don't have a title. I don't know anything. When you stop writing,
do you use working titles, Paul?
Sorry?
Do you use working titles usually?
I usually have a title before I start writing the book.
Your titles change?
Not very often.
I've often discovered that it's better for me to wait until I'm done with something to settle on the final title. I may have an idea of where the story is going, but it may turn out that what I thought I was going to write was not what I in fact wrote.
Yeah, I've got like a couple options here. For instance, there's the name of the planet they're on. There's the name of the mine that they're at. There's the name of the company that used to own the mine. There's what's in the mine. There's all these different things that could lead me to that title. But the only title I have right now is The Mine. So we're just going to call it Untitled because it's fucking stupid. So I'll figure it out at some point. I just don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to have to wait until I figure out what exactly is going to happen when what they're about to do, when they do what they're about to do. I have so many options, and I just have to figure out which ones I want to, go with. We'll see. We shall see. But I thought you'd be proud of me because I haven't outlined jack shit,
I'll be interested to hear how things go as the story progresses.
Yeah, you and me both. I got almost 4,000 words yesterday, though, which was
some
cool.
Good words.
Oh, yeah, I was very, very pleased with that. I got 1,700 or 1,800 before we started the show today. So got some on that, too. It's working. It's going. Like I said, I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it whatsoever.
Even I have a general idea of where the story is going, at least when I start writing. It may change in the process, but I have an idea. I just don't write a scene in a vacuum.
That just means your imagination is just, you're so linear. You're very linear.
True.
You are extremely linear. I am unstuck in time. Sometimes I have to know the end to know the beginning. What do you want from me? Beginning isn't necessarily any time the beginning.
Gosh, having you write a story about time travel jumping around would be really chaotic because your creative process is jumping around and the plot is jumping around. And so who knows what's going to end up where?
Well, you saw The Arrival, right? The aliens come down and they send in a linguist to talk to them and figure out their language.
Yeah, I did see that. Yes.
I love that flick for lots of reasons, but the unstuck in time portion of it was really jarring at first. And it took my brain, and maybe it was because I was addled on alcohol, entirely possible or probable, did not catch exactly what that was going with. It was confusing at first, but then when I understood what was going on, it was all okay. But that was one of those films where the time jumping made sense once you started doing things, but it jarred me at first. I really do love that movie. I think that's a fantastic premise, conceit, great film. Highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. A Step in Time. That does sound like something I would write. A Step in Time. I don't like time travel. It's all confused. Fuck that shit.
Like A Wrinkle in Time, but totally different.
My imagination. My imagination is so wrong.
Have you never read A Wrinkle in Time?
No, I haven't. If you have this jumping around and you have other stories intersect and suddenly it all makes sense. Yeah. That. Exactly. You just keep jumping around until you have all the pieces to put together for a goddamn story. And then you figure out all the scenes in between.
Paul writes all these scenes, puts everything, starts trying to get everything to where he's getting put it together. And suddenly one of the characters is breaking the fourth wall and looking at him going, "No, you will do this with me."
Well, I'm having fun because those of you that have read Station 3 or listened to Whispers or Jury Rigged or something like that, I'm having fun writing the suits. I'm having a lot of fun with the suits at the moment, as well as the people, because this kind of harkens back a little bit to Derelict, but I'm having a blast with that. It's a lot of fun. Matt says process for him is to take a big project, break it into chunks, break each chunk into smaller chunks, eventually down to your conversations.
I clicked the wrong one.
Did you?
Just going to click that one.
Oh, God. No. No, thank you. No, thank you. Nobody needs that. Nobody needs that. Nobody needs that. Trust me.
We're getting near the end, folks. If you have one more question, now is the time to ask it. And we're automatically discarding whatever question JR asks. Unless it's a really good one.
Lucas says, I hate time travel and love triangles.
My view on time travel is a DS9 moment where you've got Chief O'Brien standing next to Chief O'Brien and both of them going, "I hate temporal mechanics."
Yeah, exactly. Time travel stories kind of get my goat in that very same way, because the relativity thing comes in. It's just like, and after seeing the All's Well That's Roswell episode of Futurama, that was the ultimate time travel episode. Shows you all the things that are wrong with time travel. It's wonderful. Oh, God.
Dear Paul, our patrons would like to find another way so that they can give you more money.
You know what I need? I need somebody who is subscribed to Buy Me a Coffee, who has gone through and actually looked at the podcast stuff they have there and tell me how well those RSS feeds work. Because if I had my druthers, I would move us completely onto that platform and ditch all the others. That would be my druthers. Unfortunately, at this point, it seems like I have to be on 4 fucking services for my Patreon, and this one needs to be on 4 fucking services, and managing it is a goddamn nightmare. But I will try and get that done. I know I've been saying that. It's been a nightmare.
Could you do something like this? I know that right now, Buy Me a Coffee is it's a per item sort of thing.
No, it's
if
not.
you set up,
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not?
Nope.
Okay, well then never mind. Ignore what I was going to say.
No, BMAC has subscriptions. That's why I really kind of leaned heavily into it for a few things with my Patreon. And they just added a podcast section to it. What I don't know is how well the RSS feeds work. But it is very, very easy interface. I need to yell at them. I need to yell at Ko-Fi. I need to yell at Patreon. We need a goddamn REST API so that I can write a script and enter one thing and have it go to both or all 3 or all 6 or what 8. That's the biggest problem. I have to go in and manually enter it into everything. And it takes at least 10 to 20 clicks just to do something. So that's on 1. So multiply that by 4 for each post. And that's what you get with my Patreon. And this won't be the same way. What I can do is I can put together a private playlist on YouTube of episodes, and then give patrons access to that playlist. That is one thing that I'm looking at doing, but that would require y'all to use YouTube instead of just regular podcasts. And I know some people are kind of not wanting to do that, and I understand why. So there's a lot of different ways that, all this shit can be handled. It's just a question of all the management and logistics of it. It's okay. It's not a problem to be on one platform. It's when you start multiplying it, like being on YouTube and the podcast. Well, the YouTube's easy because we stream that, right? There's nothing for me to do. If I have to edit stuff down, it's not a problem because I just download it and I edit it and I throw it back up. Not a big deal. Usually Terry's not too bad these days for me at the episodes. But then to put them in audio, then I have to recrunch them into the audio and I have to put out other stuff in there. It's just different. It's different.
If it is more problematic for you to do all that work, maybe we should just move solely to YouTube, like you were saying. People need to, hey, suck it up, buttercups.
There's some stuff you and I need to talk about. There's some things that I need to pull the trigger on, or we need to talk about. I've thought about actually retiring the Dead Robots Society as a podcast and just put out the new one, new links, new feed that we have total control over, and that we have all of the accoutrements with to just DRS podcast. And we'll still advertise as Dead Robot Society, but it's just basically to get around some of the problems we may have with iTunes. So we'll see. But more or less, it's not a question of me wanting to cut down. It's just a matter of trying to coordinate everything. While trying to write, while trying to do other things, while trying to podcast, while trying to do. It's a lot of stuff. I don't take weekends off. I don't know what those are.
Even when it's a weekend.
Yeah, even when I went to the Texans game last Sunday, it's like came home and got to work after I had a nap. So it's just trying to grab everything and go. Just a mess. No, I don't want to scrape websites. That way lies madness. No. We need proper APIs. Why don't we have proper APIs? Just be able to make a freaking REST call. Make 4 of them. Be done with it. God. If I could automate that shit, oh my God. That'd be wonderful. Oh, well. Yeah, let me know how things go. Evo just actually put out a link on Twitter to a service or an account or whatever that they actually do a update on fiction podcasts. And what they want to know is they want to know fiction podcasts that have finished, as in the season is done or the story is done. And to use that as an advertisement for people to go back through back catalogs. I think it's really interesting. I thought I'm going to have to look them up because I have many to add there. But it was kind of cool to see that going on. So maybe fiction podcasting is coming back and I just don't know about it. Or maybe it's only the bigs. It still seems like all the audio dramas are primarily the big draws at this point, or short story weeks. I don't know. It's weird. But that's neither here nor there. I don't use PowerShell. I use a real operating system. Thank you very much. Yes, it felt good saying that. Well, if you survive Queen Elizabeth's Q, you can send us an email and tell us all about it. Show at deadrobotsociety.com. You can tweet me at Paul_E_Cooley. You can find me on Mastodon at Paul E. Cooley at mastodon.social. You can find us on listeners of the Dead Robot Society Facebook group, where Terry wrangles all the madness. If you want to find us, our ugly mugs and sees too many cats, you can find us at youtube.com/DRS podcast. We have to thank our wonderful host, pod hoster, who makes all 14 bazillion episodes available for your ear holes. And if you want to support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/DRS podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive shows, mostly unexpurgated episodes and other madness like that. And at the $10 level, you get your name read. And our $10 patrons are, I have to look them up. Everything was going so well. I actually was getting everything going just fine. And then this, I don't know what I was thinking. Do you know what you were thinking? What were you thinking, Terry? Why did you not make sure I was doing my job?
Yes, you yell at me when I do that.
I'm supposed to yell at you when you do that?
You yell at me whether I'm doing it or not, so I'm not sure what the difference is.
Okay, fine. Well, our $10 patrons are Tony L. Joy, Veronica Jaguar, Rick Shaw, Lisa Slack, Nate Cosby, and Isabel Cushy. Thank you to all of our patrons for making this show possible. Okay. Now, we just have one more thing we got to take care of. Terry and I are caffeine junkies, and we get our coffee from corpsecoffee.com. Visit corpsecoffee.com, check out their array of coffees, their boutique teas, their wonderfully weird webcomic, and tell them DRS sent you. Visit corpsecoffee.com and get the dead in your cup. All right. Have we taken care of everything?
I think we've, saved the world from having all of these people go out and do horrific things during the last 2 hours.
Yeah, at least from the hours of 3 to 5, we had a certain number of lunatics that were off the streets. So I guess we need to, we really should pick up a community service award for that. Really. Is the coffee made of people? No! In all sincerity, folks, I want to see y'all give updates on the madness that is going on on the wonderful island that a lot of us came from, a lot of our forebears came from. I want to know about the insanity. I've seen some of the insanity, but I want to know firsthand about the insanity. So feel free to hit me up on Discord and tell me all about it. I'm curious.
Are your cookies made with real Girl Scouts?
All right. On that note, we're going to get out of here before I start telling Terry about some ladies' fingers. Ooh, would you like some ladies' fingers? Ooh.